President Trump is not happy about China's new retaliatory tariffs, and he decided to take it out on his Federal Reserve Chief, Jerome Powell. So now, let me give you some context here. The Chinese State Council recently announced that it will be imposing tariffs ranging from 5 to 10% on $75 billion worth of U.S. goods. In addition to that, there will be a 25% tariff imposed on U.S. cars and 5% on U.S. made auto parts. So, okay, you've got now China doing retaliatory tariffs on our tariffs, and the trade war with China continues. So now the effect of that, of course, is that it's messed up the markets and is contributing to the upcoming recession. I was going to say fears of a recession, but dude, recession. I think it's coming. It's going to be a disaster if it does. I am not cheering it on. I am very unhappy in the fact that there probably will be a recession because there's so many people that are actually going to be hurt by this. And it always falls on the working class. It always falls on the poor. And to an extent as well, the middle class. The only people that really do okay with a recession are the very wealthy. And ironically, it's usually the very wealthy that happen to cause these recessions as well. So anyway, so now what is President Trump's response? Well, he's going to go after the chairman of the Federal Reserve. On Twitter, first he said this early in the day. Now the Fed can show their stuff. What is this, some sort of game? Again, he's with the cutting of the interest rates. And so, now that the interest rates, of course, have not been raised, you have, and shoot, I had the quotes here up. President Trump continued to go after Jerome Powell in another series of tweets here. But here's the thing. And it's funny because he keeps calling him Jay Powell. It's not Jay Powell, it's Jerome Powell. You should probably know that. If you were urging him to do something, you should at least get his name correct. But anyway, so now he continues to urge Powell to cut rates. And by the way, he said, who's the real enemy here of the United States? Is it Jay Powell or President Xi? Because he refuses to cut interest rates even more. I mean, that's insanity. You're attacking your own Fed chief, your own Fed chair. Ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. Going into the sort of technical reason of why he's not going to cut interest rates, or at least they're not traditionally going to cut interest rates at this point, is that in what you would consider to be a good economy, you don't cut interest rates. You actually have interest rates that are fairly high. Now, Trump's been urging interest rate cuts for quite some time, even when he claimed the economy was looking good. Now, not so much, right? Now, back in July, by the way, the Federal Reserve had cut interest rates 0.25%. But Trump, that's not enough for him. He wants more. Now, the thing is, when you call for interest rate cuts, you kind of undercut your lie about the strong economy. If you're going to go out there and say we're the greatest economy in the world, right? We've got the greatest economy in the world, and we need to cut interest rates. Why would you want to cut interest rates when you have the greatest economy in the world? That doesn't work out. You would only cut interest rates if you have a problem. If you've got some sort of recession coming. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, no. So here's the thing. I say that because we have already seen two warning signs. The first one, you had the bond yield inversion, right? Where you have short-term bonds that give more of a return than long-term bonds. Not good, right? So not only that, but another story I covered had to do with the truckers. They're in the middle of what they consider, or what they're calling, a bloodbath. So what's going on is that you have rates that are down for loads, and you also have numbers and amounts of loads that are down. That's devastating the truckers. And the reason for that, of course, is that you also have manufacturing that is down they're making less, which means stuff is getting shipped less. So the trucking boom over, and it's actually been in a recession since 2018. It's getting pretty bad out there, and not only that, but you also have layoffs. Um, for example, one of the recent plants, or several of the recent plants that President Trump said he was going to save. Oh, I'm going to go save these manufacturing plants in the Midwest, have closed down and have laid off all their workers. One good example of that is the Lordstown plant in Ohio. President Trump went there and said, I'm going to save the plant. Nope. He is not going to save the plant. That did not happen. So, and so the funny thing about this, right, is that he's such a bad liar. It's so transparent. And he sends people like Larry Kudlow. Larry Kudlow's the idiot of the century, right? He goes out there and he says, I don't see a recession. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. What are you talking about? Hey, you know what he also said that about? The 2008 financial crisis. Oops. Now, Trump also went on Twitter and said this. He said, the economy is strong and good, whereas the rest of the world is not doing so well. Despite the fake news media, together with their partners, the Democrat Party, are working overtime to convince people that we are in or will soon be going into a recession. They are willing to lose their wealth or a big part of it just for the possibility of winning the election. But it won't work because I always find a way to win, especially for the people. The greatest political movement in the history of our country will have another big win in 2020. That's Trump. If the economy is strong and good, then why are you going to cut the interest rates? It's because it's not strong and it's not good. It's incredibly weak. In fact, look, it hasn't been strong or good either. It turns out that you remember all those good job reports coming in from last year, right after the tax cuts went into effect, the Trump tax cuts. Oh, we're at 200,000 jobs a month. Oh my God, look at the economy is booming. Everything is great. It turns out they've had to go back and revise their numbers. And in fact, the CNBC reports that the economy had about 500,000 fewer jobs as of March 2019 than the Bureau of Labor Statistics initially calculated in its survey of business establishments. 500,000 jobs less than what they were saying before. Does that sound strong or good? No. It's not strong. Employment, not good. We are heading into a recession. And look, maybe Trump knows it, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I think that maybe he does know, and that's why he's lying about wanting lower interest rates. Or maybe he doesn't know, and he still wants lower interest rates because that means less debt payments. I don't know. I mean, you could think, and maybe some of the MAGA guys do think that, well, I mean, he's known all along that it's not great. And so being so smart, Trump says lower interest rates so we can head off a recession. But of course, then again, that would imply that the MAGA guys would admit that the economy sucks. Yeah, I don't know. But as far as Trump being smart, we all know he's not. But he is greedy. And so he sees those low interest rates as good. Because, again, it means less debt or less payments, less interest payments on his debt. Because I think he's got a lot of debt. But look, maybe I underestimate him too. Maybe he's a little bit slightly smarter than I give him credit for. I mean, you could think that maybe he did the trade war. For one, because it played really well with his base in the beginning. And it did. Like, yeah, we're going to take it to China. With Donald Trump, you were so strong. And then, and look, they talked to some of the farmers and like, yeah, we supported him in the beginning because of what he's trying to do. And there are a lot of farmers out there still struggling that are saying, look, I know he's trying to do the right thing. He just messed it up. And now he doesn't have an exit plan, right? So now he does that, the Chinese trade war, and then tax cuts for himself, right? Now, the lie, of course, behind the tax cuts is, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to get a tax cut too. You're going to get a tax cut. You're going to get a tax cut. Everybody gets a tax cut, which mainly goes to the large corporations and the very wealthy, 83% of which, right, That's what happened. So, but no, we're going to get tax cuts because Republicans love tax cuts because, even the poor ones, because at most they're temporarily embarrassed millionaires. And so they're like, oh, tax cuts. Okay, yeah, I love tax cuts. Sure. No, Trump says, I love tax cuts too because I save lots and lots of money. Now, all of that plays into the grounds for a recession. Now, could it be that he did all that? And I mean, okay, so all of that, as I said before, the tax cuts for himself, he pays less in taxes. That's good for him, right? Lower interest rates as you're heading into a recession, because that's what you do to try to stave off a recession, that also saves him a lot of money. So he pays less on his debt. Not only that, but if you do have a recession and prices for real estate bottom out like it did in 2008, well, then somebody, maybe his sons, whoever's running the Trump organization, can go in and basically be a vulture and pick over the corpse of some of these, companies, this real estate. They can pick up a lot of real estate on the cheap and then sell it when the economy gets good again. I mean, maybe again, it to me it seems a little too complicated and risky for Donald Trump. But then again, Trump is known for making terrible decisions. But there is one thing he is good at, and is running a scam. And his presidency has been the biggest scam of all. So do I know that's all true? Of course, that's huge speculation, right? But it could be just in a giant, elaborate scheme to make money. It's not like we haven't seen it before from him, right? So now, I don't know if that's true, but I do know that he does love to cause problems. Because when he causes problems, he can then come in with the solution and say, look at that, I fixed the problem. Yeah, but you started the problem. But he gaslights people into saying, oh no, this was a problem before. It was Obama's fault. It was the Democrats' fault. I came in and actually fixed it by lowering interest rates, which also happens to help me. So gets the credit, gets low interest rates, and the Democrats get the blame. It's a win. Now, unfortunately, when you do something like that, because he's used to pulling scams like that in his private life, in business, but he's now dealing with the biggest economy in the world. And when you do that, disastrous things happen. And so, none of this is looking good. So, again, hold on. Iceberg dead ahead. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.